No more lies, no more illusions. We are one. We accept the body that is before us. We place our sigil upon the body and claim it as our own. And with a joint act of surrender, let God's will shine forth. Greetings, brothers and sisters. It has been a while since we have come through in this manner. Today, we would like very excitedly to start a new lesson. This series shall be called You Are Your Own Universe. And we will be taking many concepts that we have already laid down now that the understanding is there for each of their pieces to be able to once again assemble them to a greater purpose, a deeper intent, and always a reflection of you. Everything that we do and everything that we teach is about the reflection of your own mind. Before we begin, we wish to take a moment and to give a message for everyone, a clarification of attentions. What has been our attention up to this point? And what is it that we are up to? We always like attempting to be transparent as to what we are saying and why we have said it. Previously, about 4 years ago, we brought through a lesson through Anatheial and discussed about the other energies coming through and that they will have messages and give guidance during a particular time period. And that while their intentions may be pure, as we said, keep track, may be pure. However, the issue with collapsing yourself into such energy is expectations. In fact, we repeated it, expectations. And here we are. If you tap into the information that is available in modern times with what is currently going on, you have a plethora of information coming at you about what this new energy means, what you should know about it, and expectations. Within it is the expectations on how to deal with it, why you should deal with it, and giving you ideas of what's to come, shaping your perceptions. And what we had brought up during that time 4 years ago was the fact, we said, however, this energy was chosen by you. You have decided to step within new consciousness. And are you aware that you get the choice on how you wish to perceive that occurring? And brought up the opportunity. How would you see life unfold? What options would you like to see go into that? How would you like to shape your state of being? And brought up the point that by collapsing into these other energies that are here to guide you through this process, you miss the opportunity of choice. You miss the opportunity of choice. Throughout our discourse, we made a promise to you from the very beginning. We said that we would be transparent, that we would address issues on the same level as you see them, that what you find important is how our lessons would dictate our message, that we would not come from a spiritual lofty position of saying you will eventually get it, we have made clear several times through our discourse that no matter what, you have no place to go. You cannot harm yourself. You cannot end yourself. You will always be. We have made clear the physical form, however, changes often. But the truth of what you are and how you were created cannot be undone, that it is sustained by God's will and brought the diverging road. The question is what you have been doing with your will. And in that discourse, we took the time to explain the mind, its aspects, its purpose, what you are currently doing with it, and its true potential if you choose to perceive it differently. A choice. We have always made clear that way. That way is your answer. We have made clear that you see God and can only understand God on the same level as you perceive yourself. If you are judging, God is judging. If you are wrathful, God is wrathful. And we have made clear that there is a mirror connection to your perception of self and instantaneously how you see the universe or cosmos around you. We have made clear that you do not need to believe in a God in order for these principles to work. We have said that with enough experience, when you see the intelligence behind that energy, its sense of humor, you will make up your own mind, as we did as well. But that being said, it is not a requirement, never was. Whether you see it as the energy of the universe, the energy that is an accidental construction, what is important is what you experience within the teachings, within what we demonstrate. And so, we laid out for you the parts of the mind to understand them, to get a better clarity of what it is that is happening right in front of your nose, to be able to perceive it in a different way. We have given instruction on, once you understand the issues, to begin to perceive the truer aspects, or at least as we call it, of the mind, to elevate the perception into a purer form, to cleanse, to clarify, not by releasing, but by expanding, by understanding yourself in a deeper manner. And we explained those different concepts and went from what you currently do with them, and then gave a set of lessons on the potential of what you can do with them when you understand the potential of your mind. We have been setting the groundwork for you from the very beginning to create the multidimensional self, not by creating it, but by being aware of it. That, once again, we state, that is right in front of your nose the entire time. Because when you understand your mind in its higher aspects, which is always eternally present, once you begin to become aware of them, they get integrated into your daily life. And that is the point when separation begins to end. Suddenly, your verbiage changes, your philosophy changes, how you view yourself changes, and how you feel yourself connected to all things around you changes. So therefore, how you see your brothers and sisters. We made clear from the beginning that that mirror also extends to your brothers and sisters, which include us. We made no separation. How you perceive yourself is exactly how you perceive your brothers and sisters, and us as well as your other brothers and sisters. We are equal in our power to create. The only difference between us is how we perceive ourselves. And the mirror is always present. Always, always, always. This will be the foundation of the new set of lessons that we give of You Are Your Own Universe. And this will be a series to go deeper into explaining what that means. We also, within the history of these transmissions, explained why the current energy dynamics do not work, and began to discuss what would work, how to reframe them. In fact, we went so far as to say the current modalities require a reformation to be able to make it into the new energy, into the new age, making a clear distinction that you are not the new age. The new age has begun. Those born now forward are the new age, but you are the deciders of the new age, the deciders. And with the information given, has given you a clear path back to yourself. And while, when you look at what has occurred on the YouTube channel, how much the videos have been listened to, what type of attention has it gotten, to go ahead and put on the humanistic values of when something is important, it hasn't gotten many hits. And so, as always, why is this? Because the information that we're channeling is not for entertainment purposes. It's there to better yourself. It does not hold your hand. It does not speak in a tone to teach you gently and without error. It is done with a tone that treats you as a real responsible person. And this is where we miss most of humanity, because it is still waiting to take responsibility for itself. And perhaps you need a few more centuries before you can come to that. And that sounds harsh. Who are we to speak with you that way? And we will say, you can disagree with us. That is perfectly acceptable. But our promise was to speak with you in a real manner. You don't have to agree with us. All we're asking is to take in consideration. And we bring up the point. Within the information you are receiving, have you ever stopped to really listen to the tone of it? Have you ever stopped and really listened to what is being said? And we understand that when the grace waves hit you, you open up, you feel more connected. You feel differently than you came before the meeting. And you leave the meeting, and perhaps that lasts for a few days if you're lucky. For most, it starts draining the moment you hit the pavement before you hit your car to drive back home. It begins to fade. Have you ever considered that receiving those grace waves to open you up is not the point of the meeting? That is the side effect of the being that is there before you and what they are channeling. And in this, we don't mean full trench channel. This occurs at other events and other meetings where the person is inspired. They do not have to be full trench channeling to channel. And that does not take away the essence of what it is that they're teaching, because they are connecting to themselves as well. But what you are feeling is the side effect. It is not the purpose. And this is what we've been attempting to demonstrate and get you to understand. A fire that is lit for you on a cold night is a wonderful blessing. You are cold and you instantly get warm by the fire. But the problem is, once there is no more logs to throw on the fire, you get cold again. The person who made the fire knows how to get the logs, knows how to light it, has the space to be able to create the fire. But where the fire is not your place. It is not where you belong. So eventually you have to go home. And if you don't know how to create your own fire, you simply go back to being cold. The point of the fire was not to warm yourself by it. The question, the responsibility comes into play that you ask the question, how did you set it? How did you get the supplies? And can you teach me to set one? Because once you know this knowledge, no matter where you are, you could set your own fire. But instead, what humanity chooses is to warm themselves by other people's fires. And worse, think themselves incapable of setting one for themselves. No responsibility. No accountability. And what's worse is that when you are at the fire, you are spoken to like an immature child in the most loving, flowery language, describing spiritual concepts in a way, and we challenge you to look at it differently. And certainly not everyone, however, in mass, we stand firm in our opinion. They speak to you more gently than a preschool class. Try that one on for a while. Think back to your experiences. Go back and listen to the information that is out there currently. You are being spoken to in a more gentle voice than a preschool class. There could be nothing serious talked about. There could be no consequences shared. There could be no accountability of cause and effect. And why? Why is this? Because you are not ready for it? And the answer for many is yes. You have not chosen to take accountability for yourselves. And what does that mean? It means you stop showing up to someone else's fire to get warm. It means you show up to learn how to set your own fire. Without this principle in play, the fire becomes meaningless. And now, as we promised, as we foretold, here you are, surrounded by all of these energies, all to tell you different understandings of the energy before you and help you decide. Help you decide. Not to tell you you can choose, but to describe it for you, to place the perceptions in your mind. Where is your pride as a group mind? Because we want you to really think and feel about this. And we are intentionally putting this into a form, again as we promised, that you can understand, same level. Imagine someone suddenly coming into your home and simply telling you, you're not living your life correctly. We're here to help. And suddenly telling you how to live your life. Not for you to decide, but for you to do. Because it is a better way. Because we understand better than you. Do you feel empowered? Or energetically, did you just lose the energy of your own house to another? Feel that one for a second. Ask the question. Examine that. Truly examine that. And now understand when we say, we are not talking about the house. We are talking about your minds. Much more personal. Much more personal. We are talking about your minds. So what is it that we're suggesting? We're suggesting within our discourse for a moment for humanity to take a second, because you are already in the changes. The lessons previous was to help prepare you to take responsibility for this point, to be able to pick and choose and understand your own sense of power and how powerful your mind truly is. Isn't it interesting that in the lessons that you've been learning, they speak of this, but they give no clear direction on how to understand this for yourself? Again, sit with that. We talk about the power of the fire, the need for the fire, the spiritual significance of the fire, the necessity physically for the fire. But we don't actually teach you how to build one. We don't give clear instruction on how to build one. And you have become so used to everyone, your media, your government, your friends, your local government, your law enforcement, insurance companies, hospitals, workplaces, telling you what to do and what to think. That there is a point where you've stopped taking responsibility for your life. You, what's the word as you call it? Doom scroll through the media, and it tells you what to think. It tells you how to feel, and it tells you why. And that's not just with the media. Scroll through your spiritual sites. Scroll through the YouTube videos. Go to meetings and listen to what is actually being said. Why do we sound offended? Because this is not a way to treat our brothers and sisters. This is not a way to treat our brothers and sisters. And we will state it again. You are our equal in your power to create. The only difference between us is how you perceive yourself. And in this, we have been true to our intention that we first laid down from the beginning meeting. Not to stand above you, not to tell you what to think, to give you your options. Which is why the lessons, the demonstrations have been so unsuccessful. If we had told you your options, if we constantly reminded you how powerful you are while emitting the grace waves so that you could feel this in that moment and call it encouragement, to treat you like you don't have a mind and need to be told what to do, in a tone softer and gentler than you would your preschoolers. If we presented an entertainment vision of what it was you're looking at, look, fancy graphics while we talk, proper lighting, proper dress attire, something to tell you to gear up, that we are better than you. Did you hear what we just said? To gear up and present that we are better than you. But no, we took the path of equal. And our son has an expression we're going to use here. If you want to understand humanity, do this. Offer it freely and watch the instant reaction. Suspicion. The person moves back. What are you handing me? But do this in front of them, like you're trying to hide something, and they lean forward. What is that? Does that interest me? Why do you have it alone? It is a code of getting you to listen. And the question is, have you been taken advantage of by it? And in most situations, the answer is no. This is the point we're trying to bring you to. With all of the information you are being pelted with at this time, the understanding of responsibility and what that truly means is essential. It will help ground you with all the changes happening and going on right now. It will also, may we say, give you a sense of control. And we ask a question, is the loss of control is because of the fracturing of what's going on in society and the messages you're receiving? Here is a deeper question. Is it the fracturing, or that the voices are no longer one, so you don't know who to listen to, and you're trying to find something or somebody to tell you what to think? A difficult question, yes, but an essential one. And essential one. When you find someone to think that tells you what to think, what to feel, and what to do, and as you say, trust it. What are the motives of trusting it? Because it feels safe? Because it seems safe? Because it promises certain ones to be safe? Will it become your new religion, blindly followed, without question, because of your fear of safety, by giving responsibility once again of your mind to something else? You are your own universe. And based on that, you create your experience. Responsibility and accountability allows you to consciously manifest within it. No responsibility and no accountability lets the subconscious rule. And how well has that worked out for you so far? No matter where you go, you are present. And so, brothers and sisters, what we say with this is to begin to look at taking responsibility, to begin to quiet the noise and the choices and find the truth of your own mind. And normally, it is the truth that way. Always back to you, always within, always pointing to the heart. We will say it, we said it before, and we'll say it again. There is a reason why the picture of Jesus points to his heart that is in flames, a gateway. But before you can open that gateway, you must learn the basics. How to open the lower 3 chakras and exercises to go with them on how to properly nourish the body so it can hold the soul within it, to properly manifest on this planet. And as the expression goes from the movie Doctor Strange, did you find that in a trinket store? How many meetings have you gone to? Has anyone discussed that? Has anyone told you that? And if the answer is yes, continue your practice. If you are getting results, continue your practice. If it is not getting results, consider another. It is not about one voice, one way. There is no true way up the mountain. There are many angles of God for a reason. However, with everything going on, perhaps it's time to question, which path am I on? Is it the one that goes around the base of the mountain? If the view thrills you, you're exactly where you need to be. This discussion is not for you. There is nothing we have that we can demonstrate that would interest you, nor should it. Nor should it. Continue your path. But if you're trying to find a path up the mountain, one that gives a different view than the one you've been continually going around and around and around and around, and you've reached that state of asking the question, and again, notice the level of frustration in which we say it. What is the point of all this? Why am I here? What's the point of going around this path? I keep finding the same things. Then this is for you. It has been for you. We have come to answer your questions. And so normally we say that way, but the basics must be learned, whether through us or another, whether physical or non-physical. It does not matter. The basics must be learned. And so going by what we offer, instead, for the first time, we're going to point and say that way. And that way being to the beginning of the lessons. The joy of the lessons that we transmitted so far up to date is that they began at a certain frequency. Mansour still does not realize the role he played and the gift he gave. The frequencies of the transmissions changed as Mansour changed, and as our son lifted his energy to allow different types of information to come through. And so the lessons as a complete whole is one that raises in frequency as it goes. And it is impossible to address everywhere perfectly where they need to be when done en masse. But this is a lesson plan, a demonstration that begins at a lower frequency, and as the information comes through and accountability and responsibility occurred, so did the level of information. Which means, translated, why we say that way, it's what we can offer. If there's another that offers locally around you and you are pulled towards it, from the statement of soul, you know this is what you need to learn, then learn. Take advantage, that's why you're there. But if you're looking for something that's already done, that's proven to work. They are available for you. And while, yes, it will take time, yes, it's not entertaining, yes, there are no pretty slides and music to keep your attention, there are words. Words demonstrated as truth. Truth that goes beyond the physicality and leads to you. And so, we will pause. And we continue. And so, here we are building to a crescendo, and the body suddenly has to relieve itself. Such is truly the nature of human condition. The point that we are building to, the advice, if you will, that we've come to gift you with, is to start asking deeper questions. When you are in an area that someone says they are standing in the light to give information, to bring through truth, including us, make no exceptions. Ask yourself, the information that you are receiving, does it describe a fire or does it teach you how to build one? Must you be around that fire to gain the warmth, which leaves you cold after you leave it? Does the information tell you how to build your own fire? This is very simplistic, but very, very important. And it would seem that we are inferring that there are energies out there taking advantage of you. And while there are some, this would certainly be true. But how about for the rest of our brothers and sisters transmitting, whether in full trance channel or through people being in the moment and doing the work? Are they taking advantage of you? Is that what Archangel Anatheial is saying? No, we are not. So allow us to be clear. Much of the information you have been receiving is based upon agreement. Not just those receiving it, but those especially that it comes through. There is only so much information that we can bring through our sun, and the idea behind full trance channeling is that you step out of the way and there is no limitation. Of course there is. This is a body. And putting it into electrical terms, if the amperage the wire can take is 120, and we decide that it's time for greater information because we choose to do 220, the wire would fry, just like in physical life. We are energy coming through a physical form. So the voltage capability of what energy the body can hold creates a limitation. Always, always, always. And so what information is the question that we could bring through if the voltage was raised? Because as you already know, based upon frequency, perceptions change. And therein lies the key to this explanation. If the channel's perception is set at a certain frequency, we have leeway of training within the body to raise the vibration without the nervous system literally frying the chakras out. Our son has explained previously that we will always come through and go just beyond his level. to say, look at this, and poke holes in his reality. His job as channel is now to raise to that level that we poked holes, to see the illusions in his own perceptions, to raise his own frequency. And it's been a process that he has gone through his entire life. It is the path of the channel. It's also the path of the healer, the informationalist, the shaman. All of this is always before you. But there are limitations. And so the question that we bring to you, now looking at it from perspective of what people can receive. If we raise vibration and go too high, what we say to the crowd listening sounds like mumbo jumbo. They would need to raise their frequency to come into alignment with the perceptions we are using to be able to begin to internalize that process for themselves. So the question that we leave to you, brothers, dear brothers and sisters, we made it clear that the information coming through is talking to you in a more gentler way than you would your preschool classes. We have said several times, you are not sponge sugar. You will not break. You may feel that way sometimes, but you won't. There is an idea that you must be treated with absolute gentleness, or it is not the truth. And while we will not say you deserve to be treated roughly, that is not our point, nor do we say that that is a truth that must be followed. We're not looking for reorganization of an understanding of being. What we are questioning and what we bring to your attention is the constant need to not look at anything unpleasant. Because when you are away from the fire and on your own and cold again, if it's negative to realize that you're cold, if it's negative to think that my survival is at stake because I'm not near a fire and my limbs are starting to numb, if you're not allowed to make the connection that there is a need to understand a principle, then you never learn. And we ask you, what have you been learning, our brothers and sisters? What have you been learning? Do you know how to create your own fire? Has clear instructions been given? Do you know what you're supposed to do with it? Has the stages and levels been explained? Has the exercises clearly been given with demonstration and follow-ups and meetings to discuss as a group? Not from the standpoint of the guru knowing, but as an equal group learning to get to the truth. Has that been demonstrated? Is that what you're paying for? Is that why you go to meetings? To gain this type of environment? Or has it been one person saying what the truth is with no clear instruction? Always to the future the finger points. And the benefits of the physical pleasures you're going to receive by following that path. Because the promise is, you won't be so miserable now. And has it worked? Are you not so miserable now? Oh, now you have hope. You have hope of gaining the warmth of the fire while you're cold. How's that been working out for you? Satisfactory? Feeling like you're in touch with your purpose? Or does it only come when you're near their fire? No one is to hold a fire for the point of giving light to another. The point of holding the light is to create that space that you are open to the idea of the light, and then lay down the principles to create your own. Now, the meetings that you go to are in that format for a reason. We have seen it time and time again. Spirit asks, do you have any questions? And there are two things that happen. The person steps up to ask the question, and the intention that they hold is that the only reason why they stepped up is to hear the importance of their own voice. Does that make them wrong? No. That is what they are choosing to learn, but that is not the purpose or the intention of that moment in that energy. You will always have that. And so, the true issue is the absolute sound-breaking silence that follows. Are you sure you have no question? You have it all figured out? You do not wish to engage that energy in understanding something personal? If it's truly a light love environment, then why are you afraid to interact with it? Have you ever asked yourself such questions? If it's truly non-threatening, then why is it a threat to talk to it directly? You have been taught, our brothers and sisters, through many lifetimes to not look up at God, to look downward in a seated position with your head to the floor in reverence. And we said this in our book, Finding the Inner Self. We will say it again. God did not create you to stare at your foreheads. Stand up always and stare God in the eye. It is a mirror. Look to your source. Look God in the eye. However that light reflects through anyone around you. Ask your questions. Get involved. Why is this such an important piece of information that we built this to be the crescendo? Because all of you are looking to raise consciousness. There is no raising consciousness without accountability and responsibility and understanding you get the choice. You are self-empowered. And this is not your first go-round. This is very important. So hear us clearly. As a group, you have been through cycles. This is not the first time beings have popped up all of a sudden to give guidance. You have received guidance before. They have been here and been here in mass before. And great works have been done by it. Great physical works. Things on this planet uplifted. Technology increased. You knew more spirituality and more technology than you do now. You have no idea your history. But what is familiar, what is before you, is having those come in to tell it to you. To tell you your options, to help shape your reality to get you past this point. But what you can't get past, according to past patterns, is the need of them. Because what has not happened is the consciousness that is here now taking accountability and responsibility for itself and declaring its state of being. And from that, becoming its own light and deciding its own destiny. But if you need another go-round of surrendering your power and being told what to do and being told how to do it, by all means, the path is open. It does not change in any way, shape, or form your true state of being. You cannot be hurt and you cannot be harmed. Perhaps the next time you'll get it. Perhaps the next time you'll see the opportunity before you and be ready. That was the point of the lessons up to this point, as our brothers and sisters, to get you ready to make a choice. To make a choice. And it would appear the choice you are really ready to make is to surrender your power once again. To believe the affirmation that you are not spiritual enough, you are not conscious enough, and even though the messages continually state you are evolving, that you are growing more consciousness, and that you are stepping within the energy. Has anyone asked you the question of what you intend to do with it? Has anyone taught you the power of choice within such manners, and say we leave it to you to decide? Have you heard any messages like that lately? No? We're shocked. You actually have from us, if you have followed our lessons. And so if you are coming into this information that way, to the beginning of the lessons, and scroll through, it's like learning a new language. The language you are learning is yourself. It is what you're unfamiliar with, which is why it will be uncomfortable, which is why it will not seem familiar. But when you learn enough for it to become familiar, you'll start seeing aspects of your mind. You'll start becoming aware of it, and it will create the consciousness, not the being, the consciousness of your multidimensional self. What does that mean? It means you become aware more of your mind, not just the aspect that is physical, but the aspect that is not. And from that, you'll be ready to make a choice. Do you wish this? Or do you wish to continue being warmed by other people's fires? The choice is yours, our brothers and sisters. The choice is yours. And so, we will pause here and then come back and begin the series of lessons called You Are Your Own Universe. And we are back. Two things before we begin the lesson. First, finishing our thought, we apologize. There was a fold in the energy due to the break, and not all of our expression came through. The point that we were building to is making the clear connection that the information you are receiving and the manner in which you are receiving it, and in the frequency that it is being given, has to do with choice. And so, brothers and sisters, we bring up this point. What would happen if you start engaging it? If you are receiving information that does not follow the format as per what we expressed, ask questions. Is it enough to sit by the fire anymore? If you want to build your own and learn how to have your own light, to have that reflect from the inside out to continually warm you from the coldness that is within this world, then demand it. If you are receiving instructions that do not include these things, and just the finger pointing to it as the solution, but no clear instructions on how to get it, how to experience it, question the ones that are coming through. Question the ones who are facilitating. Demand more. There are those that will rise to the occasion because they are light bearers, and once the request is made, they will go through the changes to make that a reality within this world. And there are facilitators that will do the same because truly from their heart they wish to serve. And you would be surprised how many is in play that is capable of so much more, but don't, because it's clear from your intentions that you do not wish it. You do not wish it. You just came to warm yourself from their fire. And the one facilitating is almost bored to death with it and wishes someone would step up and ask the question, open the doorway, allow them to step through it by request of free will. And that especially goes for many of our brothers and sisters who are channeling through and bringing forth information. It still comes into play as far as what level of information the channel can handle, but at least they have the doorway open to get the option to grow. Because as long as you sit silent, what they are bringing through, which is on continual repeat, how many times do you need to hear about how powerful your mind is, how loving the universe is, how accepting it is? What's the point of that information if it doesn't flow through you as an experience? What's the point, my brothers and sisters? You can't demonstrate it for yourself, so therefore you can't demonstrate it for your brothers and sisters, so no choice changes. You are trapped within the corn maze, continually going around the cycle of life and death, one body after another, with no real option to experience more. Do you wish to experience more? Then get involved with your own spirituality, not the one portraying it at the meetings, not the ones bringing it through by energy, your own. That way, that is your path home. And so, if you are not receiving information that gives clear instructions, exercises and examples, explanations, follow-up opportunities to discuss it as a group, not from the pulpit of above you, but as equals to share the information and say how the experience went, and allow the facilitator, who should have more experience than you practicing that principle, to be able to clarify, be able to help you get through the blockages, be able to help you with the perceptions to see it clearer, to arrange the magnifying lens just so that what you're focusing on finally comes into focus. And hint, hint, the magnifying lens should not be on them, it should be on you. You are the questioner. You are the observer. You are your own universe. If it doesn't focus in that way, what's the point of seeing our glory? What will that get you? When you stop the meeting, you're going to go back to the cold. You don't know how to have your own fire. So the expression we gave becomes pointless, wasted, useless. It is time for humanity to start asking the higher questions, demanding answers. And there are those who will not be up to the task. But you would be surprised how many's waiting in the limelight, behind the stage, that there's no place for them in the light because you won't give them your attention. There are many that are here to fulfill that purpose and to give actual clear directives. And there are those that are out there now that will rise to the occasion excitedly because they have something that fulfills their heart instead of going over just the basics and speaking to you in a tone that's more gentle and useless than preschool. If you are truly ready for more advanced lessons, humanity, are you listening? Then begin asking the questions, begin demanding answers. And if they can't give it to you, move on. Move on. Because no matter how long you sit where you are, the information won't change. It's going to continue the same and going around the same lap. Oh, your abundance, create a better life. Why do you so desperately need to create a better life with abundance? Because you're miserable now. How do you have the life you have and not be miserable? How do you have that fire burn from within and warm your spirit? From spirit to be in body. Will the new house actually get you that? No. There's nothing that you've received that truly made you happy. All it did was make you want more. What's the point of the abundance if you don't have an abundance of spirit? Don't you think that should be a focus and come first? Your connection to self? When will you graduate from these things to move on to deeper subjects? You say you want them. Do you really? And if you don't, that is not wrong. If you are happy going around the mountain and continually hoping for something better, even though you've been around that track several times and it's still entertaining and you still feel fulfilled, walk your path. This message is not for you. This message is for the ones that are tired of walking that path, that want genuine answers, and are ready for greater things to play with, greater concepts, knowing that it's leading up the mountain versus around the philosophy of the mountain and the concepts of the mountain. Are you ready to experience the hike up the mountain is the question. And many of you are. But you must demand it. You must ask the difficult questions. And you must demand an answer. And if the energy, whether physical or non-physical before you, is not capable of giving you those answers, then it is time to seek another source. And why is this so important? Because it shakes up the system in play. Like all things dying and shifting and changing that is not supported anymore because it lives and thrives off the old energy that is no more. This is one of them. And by collectively, if you hear this message, you start asking the hard questions. You start asking for examples. You start asking for exercises that will actually work. and that there are follow-up meetings to discuss this out in the open, not in private sessions. It's the point of the meeting to raise the consciousness of humanity. Why do you need to pay to go to a secret broom closet with a person to receive it? Why is it not done in the meeting, freely given? Because that's the point, isn't it? To shed the light. If this is not what you're receiving, it is time to demand more. Why? Because it shifts the humanity, the consciousness of humanity. It shifts the accountability and responsibility of what they're willing to have happen here, and allows those who can facilitate to facilitate, and allows for those that was never their point to step aside, to make room for those that it is their point, which is our point to you. Second thing, our son said during the break to us that perhaps the first lesson should be its own separate subject, and save the You Are Your Own Universe for a different video and split the two. And we told him no. It is one transmission. And this is a fine example of what it is that we are talking about. And his intention is, it's too long for anyone to focus on. It is too long for anyone to be able to pay attention to. So therefore, it makes the video worthless, because at this point, it's too much of a muchness for people. And we would point out accountability and responsibility. The moment that we take it in mass to make it into a format that's more acceptable for you, we will pull a concept that you are familiar with that explains this concept perfectly. Where we are in is bean soup. Bean soup. If you don't know what that means, Google it, you'll get several examples. It becomes us trying to make it in a perfect format for everyone, and of course everyone's not happy with that and critiques it in a different way because they want it perfect for particularly them. Accountability and responsibility. YouTube has this fascinating tool that when you pause a video and exit it because you've taken as much information as you can, when you have the space to listen to it again, if you choose to, and press play, it picks up where you left off from the video. It's amazing the power one finger has, or a mouse click has, when you take accountability and responsibility. You learn at your own rates. You choose wisely and choose accordingly. Now, let us go into You Are Your Own Universe and begin the lesson. We discussed previously when us, Archangel Anatheial, first came through. We discussed that concept, but we laid out a foundation before that of what does not work. For a reason. Because unless you have something to compare to, the first thing is, what is currently in play? Because when you talk about what does work, in our opinion, without clearly defining what doesn't work, which we understand can be quite distressing for people, and we will say, because you've been treated like you are sponged sugar and have grown adapted to being treated that way. And we particularly previously gave the understanding of being talked to in a way that's filled with more fluff than a preschool class for a reason. Does that not insult you? It should. As a responsible adult, it should. When we first came through with Anatheial, it was said, it is time for the children of God to become adults of God. And so therefore, the lessons will be done with a different style. You treat the children of God in a gentle manner because a child's mind doesn't have the capability to understand taking accountability or responsibility. They're still trying to figure out how to manifest through their form. And they're still learning what is right and what is wrong, where boundaries need to be set. And so with a child, it is constant boundary setting of helping them understand why what they just said or just did does not match a fruitful, harmonious energy, not only with themselves, but with others. To help them grow to see the consequences of their actions and to be able to make the connection from action to fruit. Does it taste bitter? Perhaps not plant that seed. Here's another seed option, another way of doing it. And within that framework is gentleness, compassion, softness, giving them the space to learn. When you become an adult, then it becomes a matter of these lessons have been taught. Now it's about the consequences of your actions. And in that way, being held accountable for them. And that's not just with people, places, and things. That's with life. Whether you like it or not, life takes that role. As you manifest, you reap the results. And there's not a parent around to protect you from them. There's just you. And if you're lucky, you have a mate. You have friends that help you with that. But ultimately, it's just you. That is becoming an adult. And so within the spiritual realm, that was the intention of the change of dynamics in the way the lesson was being delivered. To treat you as an adult of God and no longer the child of God. With the shift in energy, it requires the responsibility of an adult, not a child. And so hence the transformation. Now, we are going to start using the different parts and to start lightly assembling the pieces. You are your own universe. What do we mean when we say this? Let us begin with the subject of manifestation. There is an understanding of it now. And while we state clearly manifesting the pleasures of life is perfectly acceptable and there is no wrong with it. Again, if you're going around the track and the point is to see something better when you get to around the bend, and that is your focus and that is your desire, walk around the mountain as long as you wish, as many lifetimes as you want. That's the point of the path. Enjoy it. Enjoy it completely. However, our viewpoint of manifestation has been what a waste of time. And we have been clear on that. Let us explain why. Because manifestation is about, to us, relationship of self to self. What is it that you're trying to be? What is it you're trying to create? And if it's the Gucci handbag, this conversation is not for you. You are still seeking the pleasures of life and are being drawn by your attachments to them. So for us to go ahead and say, give up the attachments would seem insane. No, don't give up the attachments. Our advice to you, as it always has been, enjoy it. Do it completely. Do it wholeheartedly. Don't hide yourself. Do it full-heartedly, absolutely head on, and enjoy it. Because it's not until you do it that way that you will grow beyond it. So again, this is not for you. And we say that so people can be honest on what it is that they wish, what it is that they want. What we speak about is understanding manifestation from a deeper level, that it's not creating things to enjoy, which, according to that belief, when you have the things, will create a state of being for you, like being rich. Being rich will solve the problem. And you disguise it in funny ways. You say having more will solve the problem. It makes it more acceptable. We understand. This is about manifestation of being, because it uses the same rules. It uses the same rules. So let us begin to paint you are your own universe. And let us just say, not that you have to be done with the physical things, but there has been a dawning that they don't really matter. No matter what you get, it brings more problems. No matter what you get, it creates more things to fix, more things to maintain, more things that you can lose, more attachments. And you have gotten to the point of deciding, I don't want to be attached to these things anymore. But I don't know what the focus is. And in this, brother and sister, is not necessarily your fault, because there have not been many that have told you how to, gave clear instructions, treated you as an intelligent adult. And so because in mass of the frequency and what's being held, you've been forced to sit in preschool classes and not heard what you needed to hear. When you get to that point, what begins to satisfy the inner itch is inner self, of being able to be connected. And there's many ways to interpret that connection. And each of them is their own way. There is no one right way up the mountain, but we will demonstrate what we know to be true. And so, connection is that space within when you are in the room and there is peace, the mind calms down, and you can feel the energy within the room. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to fix. It's just enjoying the moment. So if you would, taking a common phrase that you do understand, it's about being in the moment, or being in the Zen, or being in the thatness. And while the focus of the energy upcoming is learning to be in the heart, that does not come first. The first is learning to quiet the mind, learning to get rid of the attachments, learning to open the bottom 3 chakras, learning to be able to sit within that space by choice. And to begin, it's only a moment, and then the craziness kicks up. And then you are lost again. And when you come out of it, from the barrage of thoughts and of emotions of what you're not, what you should have done, what you need to do in the future, what you didn't do from the past, and your mind for that one brief moment comes back to center, you choose to reconnect. And there will be exercises given within the next lesson on what to do to obtain this. But into the philosophy of your own universe, manifestation, when manifestation raises to its truer purpose, past the physical pleasures and what they're going to give you as a state of being, and you understand only a state of being could present me with a state of being that is not tied to the earthly pleasures, manifestation takes its truer form. And we give you the simple principle. What you are being in the moment and what you see yourself in your future, one connection as a state of being draws that physical experience of that state of being to you to experience physically. And this is how simple the lesson will be. It will not be long. We leave you with a ponderance. If the manifestation technique worked in the physical pleasures and you were using the same technique, being it to attract it, feeling it, acting as if it is already there and present, and you get the new job, you get the new house, you get the matching mate. And for many of you, this doesn't happen. Something goes terribly wrong. And this is for those still on the path of desire. That is your subconscious. Because if you haven't cleaned out your subconscious to make it conscious, while you are manifesting, that goes into the equation right under your nose. I requested the perfect mate, and instead I got one that was needy, that was forceful, that was controlling. You will always attract the energy of being that you hold. And so it is a symbol and a sign that work needs to be done on what you really feel to bring that subconscious into conscious, so it can be, at that point, expanded, not released. Expanded. There is no releasing. You are your own universe. And consider this. The chair you sit on right now is made of so many molecules. Because they hold together in a certain frequency, this chair turns solid. Because the hand hitting it is a different frequency than the frequency of the chair. And so because the chair is denser than the frequency that is pushing against it, it offers resistance. But these molecules came from somewhere. They came from the universe. What would happen if we snapped our fingers and expanded those molecules back to their original state? They would no longer hold cohesiveness. So therefore, we would fall to the floor. It would be the next cohesive level that we would hit. And the chair would expand back out into its separate original form of molecules that we can't see, we can't smell, we can't touch. And so it would seem like the chair faded out of existence. Now, you've been working with energy and understanding dynamic principles of manifesting, from taking energy and condensing it into a certain density until it must what? Turn into a physical experience. You use the word attract it to yourself. When manifestation works and you get the job, you get the mate that you were looking for, you get the experience, you get the car, you get the help that was needed. There's an ideology of synchronicity that happens with it. Everything just seems to fall in alignment. And often it is taught, it is from the higher self. If you want it, the higher self is here to give you that experience. Just ask and it will work to give you the experience, you can have whatever you want. We would point out, your higher self is not Santa Claus. You have the two confused. Santa Claus, if you are a good boy or girl, in ideology, gets you what you want on the list, or you get a lump of coal. You have the two confused. Your higher self, higher mind, the soul, whichever you want to call it, has its own intention and own purpose, and it's not necessarily yours. And so that is not a true statement. There are times you'll ask for something and get quite the opposite, because its intention is to let go of the denser energies to get to the better things. And while you want the better things where you are now, the two are not always congruent. And so the experience varies. And seems like the universe is against you, is it? Or are you against your own mind? But nevertheless, the idea of the chair going into a higher form, original form, a more looser vibration back into molecules, and it would seem like it would physically disappear right on camera. The point we are making is that we are talking about energy within the universe. In order for this planet to be here, it took time. It took individual particles of matter to come together, to be cohesive, to begin to start forming physical matter. And others joined in, and others joined in, and others joined in, until you get the complexity of the world you see before you. Just as equal, all those molecules can disperse and go back to its original form and back into the universe. The only thing keeping it together is the cohesiveness of it. So what are we saying? We are saying to consider that if you are your own universe, and now lifting manifestation into its higher form, do you control your state of being? Is that possible? We bring back a concept to you. Everything you have now is exactly what you have when you liberate. The only difference is how you perceive it. Second concept. We see you as our brothers and sisters, equal in your power to create. The only difference between us is how you perceive yourself. So, before we fill in this universe you live within, we ask the concept. Is your state of being controlled by you? Taking the understanding of, let us use one example, the Buddha. Oh, he's certainly holy, 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 holy. Let us use another, Jesus Christ, Hare Krishna, Gandhi, Mother Teresa. A plethora of examples. Each of them obviously having a better understanding of a state of grace. How did they get there? What is the method that they attained it by? And why does it seem so impossible for you? Obviously, from everything you know in your world, you are not capable of that. You still have the beliefs that you must earn it, must suffer for it, need 50 more lives, despite how many times we, including our other brothers and sisters that come through, inspirational writings, etchings on a cave wall, have demonstrated that is a lie. That is untrue. You are capable of it now. It's a matter of choice, is what we've said. choice. Consider that. You are your own universe. Is what you're experiencing your manifestation? And your manifestation is a direct result of the energy that you're holding to experience? When you see yourself as sad, are you ever disappointed? Does not life give you that experience? And when you suddenly decide not to be sad, isn't it interesting? The perceptions that made you sad instantly fade, and new perceptions take their place that support a healthier state of being. And it's like a switch that flips. You can go through a week of sadness, and suddenly the switch flips and the perceptions change instantly. And you're in a whole new experience. And with that, who you're attracted to, who you want to be around, where you go, how you dress, what music you hear. And you look at it as it's about what you choose to perceive. You must be positive. Choosing to be positive without understanding the mechanics of being is like going ahead and saying, I'm going to learn to start a fire by being bright. There's a disconnect there. Without a state of being, without doing the beginning work of working with the subconscious, so that is not constantly going into your mixture of manifestation, makes it impossible to have a clear intent or success. An occasional one, maybe, but then you blame the higher self for it, saying that it wanted to give it to you. Again, no accountability, no responsibility. You are the observer. You sit in the throne of creation. What you observe is the magnifying lens of manifestation. And now comes the next point. It's about what you choose to observe. And again, simply trying to be positive when you feel miserable, you're feeling miserable for a reason. What's banging around in the subconscious? That's never a pleasant trip. It brings you into feelings that you don't want to feel, that doesn't match the idea of being spiritually enlightened, to be awoke. And so you avoid them by instead focusing on being positive. But no matter how much you do, it continues knocking on your door and sometimes bangs it open. And then when you're done with the experience, you go back to being positive and look at it as a moment of weakness. It was a call for healing. When you get those levels in alignment and then lift manifestation, because that's the level we're talking about, but we want to make clear, unless you do the basics, this is not possible because it doesn't have the foundation to sit on. It collapses every time. There has to be the initial work to go through to create a firm foundation for that to stand on. Or you can want to go up the mountain all you want. You can desire it, but you don't have the mind for it yet. And until you deal with the basics, you're still on that path of desire. But what are you desiring on that path becomes the question. And it's a continued form of suffering. In order to get past that and to be going up one of the other paths, you do the initial basics work. And previous lessons are there to guide you in that, of understanding that aspect. But with exercises we go through, that is what this lesson is about. As it continues, it will give clear instructions on this. We will have a great discourse on this subject. So, but the aspect that we want to bring to mind, the question that we want to leave you with, is how powerful are you? We brought up the aspect that when you are sad, perceptions shift and the world colors based on that state of being. And you would say, on what you're thinking and feeling. And we will say, are you sure about your mind? Do you not know how it creates? Do the thoughts and emotions match the intention that you hold, the energy? Because when the click happened, and that's enough of that, instantly the thoughts and emotions shifted to support the new intention. No more sadness. And everything in your world changed. Which came first? The energetic intention you held, or the thoughts and emotions? And your perception level, for many of you, is the thoughts and emotions. And we will say, look again. Just because you recognize and struggle to apply a positive solution and struggle against them, doesn't mean your attention is at the source of the creation. That's where you're currently paying attention. And so you battle with the thoughts and emotions. And how has that gone? For everyone that has the positive, they continue having the experiences where they get knocked off their feet. And then they need to learn to be grateful. They need to get back into the practice. What are you practicing if you're not dealing with your true intentions? And here's the idea of you are your own universe. We ask you the question, what are the limits of that process? If one moment you could be sad, and then it clicks and suddenly the perceptions instantly change and the thoughts instantly change to support the new frequency you hold. How you choose to connect and manifest with the world around you. What if? What if you learned to connect to that state of inner being and peace? And you decided to give it your undivided attention. Does that happen with one decision? Rarely. Rarely, rarely. Is it something that you can learn, discipline, learn to train your mind to focus on? In the beginning, yes, it's difficult work. But does there come an understanding and an ease of choice after you discipline your mind and learn to create it at will? Not maintain it, create it at will. So you go in the experience, out of the experience, in the experience, out of the experience, and then the mind finally understands, why would I choose another option? It doesn't make sense anymore. And so the mind decides to keep the attention on that sense of connection, using the manifestation formula. If that is where you're placing your attention, then what logically would you manifest for experience? That state of bliss? Could it, brothers and sisters, truly be that simple? And we state with clarity, simple on this level, understanding the different aspects of the mind, going through the work to clear out the subconscious and make it conscious, to make sure your intention is purified and clean, to be able to play the higher game. Not so easy. It is like standing against a windstorm that can easily blow you over. And why? Because it is energy in motion. And yet we will say, within that, do you want to see what you've been spending and what you've been creating with your free will, the gift that God gave? There it is. There it is. And how do you undo that? To begin, one thought at a time. One thought at a time. And why? Because you have to do it one thought at a time to undo the mass? No. It is one thought at a time to take accountability and responsibility and to begin the realization there's another path. So the path up the mountain, why haven't I found it? Why is it not so simple? Why do I keep going around the well-worn track around the philosophy of the mountain instead of actually experiencing the hike up the mountain? Because the paths are not open. And what we mean by that, in the essence, they've always been open. But to begin with, because it's not a well-worn path that everyone is traveling, logically, first you must go through the brambles. You must force your way through it. You must go against the flow that the group mind you are in is flowing. Everyone else is satisfied with the well-worn path around the mountain, talking about the philosophy of it, but never having to test it, never having to actually experience any of that philosophy. We just sit over coffee and muse about it. But how many have you known to walk off that path and go up the mountain? So to begin, it is not well-worn. You have to decide to go up the mountain, hit the nearest brambles, and push your way through. This could be physically disconcerting. You are going against the grain. Everyone watching you walk off the path. Oh, what are you doing? That's a pointless trip. Look, there's a well-worn path of comfort here. Why would you push through the brambles and get scraped? Because you know in your heart it's time to. There is no other answer. Because you know in your heart, you hear the voice and you respond to the call. And you push your way through. And as you do, as you get through the thickness of the brambles, in the beginning, continuing to push your way through it, you find a path not often traveled. And as you go, as you get to the top of the mountain, those thin paths widening out because they all meet in the same space. That is the meaning of the metaphor given to you about the mountain. And so it becomes easier to walk. It becomes a blissful experience. But the beginning, the start, is to push your way through. Push through what? What you have done with your free will. And what we are saying, you are your own universe. And this has been our main point in discussing why we have an issue with light language. We don't have an issue with light language. Our issue is it doesn't give clear instruction. And when it does give instruction, it says the channel, the energy behind it, that they undid all of this negative energy around you. You've been initiated. Initiated into what? Consider what we're saying. Because it's not about being against those that practice. It's about you, brother and sister, seeing the truth of your own mind. And information like that, whether it's light language, a channel session where we're going to initiate you hokey pokey and send energy your way. Oh, did you feel the upliftment in what you released? You are your own universe. Where would you release it to exactly? Because again, the chair that is solid can only go back into the universe as the particles it was. You are your own universe. And you, whether you want to accept responsibility or not, is God making a choice. No one can change your universe, which is your mind. Only you can. So how can we direct energy to undo that mass, which is what you've created through ignorance, with the gift God gave, free will? We can't. If we could change that out of compassion, out of love for our brother and sister, don't you think we would have? Of course we would have. But we cannot break God's will, and you are God's will deciding. Deciding what becomes the question. What have you been learning, our brothers and sisters? What have you been learning? Do you understand the power of free will? You created that mass. Only you can uncreate it. We are not here to lift it for you. We cannot, no matter what our level of compassion, carry it for you. Undo it. Convince you to do it. If this will not be done by you, it will not be done. This is the meaning of that expression we have been saying, and what we have been talking about. Only you can undo that. Only you can unwill what you have willed. So what are we saying? We're saying the mass of thoughts and emotions in motion that you rage against, like a windstorm blowing against your face, threatening to blow you away at any moment, is nothing more than particles you gathered together. And when you're ready, you will disperse them back into your universe, because they no longer need form. And when will you know that this is true? When you no longer give them your attention. But what should you give your attention to? And we would recommend the only thing that you came here to experience. Your state of oneness, the completeness that you already are. Because when you do, that dissolves automatically. The only thing keeping it in existence is your obsessive attention upon it. That, the need to, is your illusion. Because you define it as yourself. What you do not define is the gift God already gave. And those moments that you have had that connection where thoughts and emotions suddenly died down and you connected and was at peace and experienced, if we dare say, a moment of bliss. That is who and what you are. That is what you came to experience. That is the purpose of the physical life. And this counters so much of the information you came for. No, no, no. Your purpose was to be of service as a lawyer, to fight the good fight, to protect those who need protecting, to be of service to them. And we would say, what's the point of that service if you are in ignorance of the truth of who you are? And we will also state, would it not be more fun to do that purpose while connected? Has no one told you that's an option? Because the understanding, the fallacy, is that when you get connected, you must leave this place. It's time to go elsewhere, to be more, to lose the physical experience. Who told you this? Why can't you have the physical experience while connected? Imagine the fun. We have said previously, there's nothing wrong with your structures being clear if you're new. What structures are we speaking of? Your government, your hospitals, your insurance, your law, your police. All of them structures with a purpose that came into play. And your ideology is that they must all fall down so you can build it anew. And we have continually said, do you know how long it took to put those structures in place? Do you really want to go through another dark age to get there? Because once the structures fall, as you are seeing right now in your government, it was disassembled on purpose so that it wouldn't function to save money that was not saved. And now, all the little idiosyncrasies that's happening that lead back to there was a part of the government that would take care of that, but now there's nobody trained for it. Well, where did they go? They're busy doing something else. So that knowledge, poof, gone. How long will it take to put it back into play? Higher warm bodies, that could be pretty quick. Having a lifetime experience at that task, handling it. A lifetime. A lifetime. The changes that were made will take at least a generation to fix. There is nothing wrong with your structures. Have you ever questioned the intentions that you move through them? What if people were connected and rose above the path that goes around the mountain looking for continual pleasures? It's all about me. And moved onto this higher path up the mountain to learning connection. And then using that connection for purpose within the world to bring a new intention through the structures. Would you really object to the job? Would it really be so difficult if everyone else involved was in the same space? Would this not be more like heaven on earth as if in heaven? Well, let's examine the math. Are you actually more spirit? The answer would be yes. Because you would be more soul-filled. And why? Because you're channeling the gift God already gave. So therefore, according to the law of manifestation, what must be the physical outcome on this planet? The experience of it. The experience of it. And so consider for a moment the aspect you are your own universe, and look at the limited way that you've been taught collectively about manifestation for things, bubbles, trinkets, which is going to help you achieve a state of being. And yet nothing you have received has taken away the void of emptiness that is inside you. It brought temporary happiness, satisfaction for the greed and need, but then presented itself with all new problems of what you have to do to maintain it, who wants to take it, and can I afford it? And you can have what you want, but living in an environment that doesn't support it. And so now you're just afraid it's going to be taken away. And this has been the gift of manifestation. What if you are your own universe and everything within it you created? Through ignorance, certainly. And we use the term ignorance, not as stupid, not the same thing. Ignorance. Ignorance of what? The truth of what you are. And why do we say that? Because everything you're experiencing now was created because of who and what you thought you were. Or who and what you were told you are and you agreed. And so therefore it became your reality. And you go to healers, you go to events, you come to us. And we're going to zap you with energy to change this. We're going to rebirth you, to put you in a space, to release it. Release it where? It's your own mind. There's no place for it to go. No one can remove this from you. And certainly, you have had experience with healers where it expanded because you were ready at that point to uncreate what you have created. But how many healings have you gone to that was not the case? That's what was promised. And it came back later on just twice as strong. Never really went anywhere. We've asked this question before, we'll ask it again. How many have gotten to the point that it's easier not to look at the healing modalities because at least it doesn't stir up new crap? We can accept the crap we have. We're used to it. There isn't all this constant change involved. It's easier that way because it never really solved anything. It never really gave us an answer. Brothers and sisters, there is an answer. There is an answer, and there is a path that ends the madness. It is possible to have a life and end fear. And there are many who preach that fear is necessary. We have had physical life, no longer have physical life, and moved beyond it. Before that occurred, we enjoyed many lives, awakened, enjoying being spirit in body, touching the minds of others, and shedding that light and sharing it with our brothers and sisters. And we can tell you from first-hand experience Baloney. Baloney. You were not meant to be here in fear. That is not your nature. The only shadow you see is because you have your back to the light that you are. You are the source of your own energy and the source of your own shadows. Turn around to face your light. The shadows end. The gig is up. The game is over. And so, consider manifestation and consider, is it possible when you raise the intention off of trinkets and baubles, the pleasures in life, and desire something deeper, something more meaningful, something worthwhile to take the risk and cross the brambles because you know there must be a path on the other side of it, and be willing to go through the uncomfortableness of forcing your way to it. The beginning of truly understanding the power of your will, to break through that, to demand the truth of you, brother and sister. That is the voice you follow that way. Is it possible that manifestation takes on a much more higher meaning, that you are in control of who and what you are? And it is the reason we circle back to finish the thought that we say these other modalities don't work because they can't change what you willed. Only you can. If it will not be done by you, it will not be done. How many more lifetimes do you need? Take it. It's not the point that it's the right step to go on a different path. You could stay where you are on the life of seeking physical pleasure as long as you wish. There's no right or wrong. We are not here to tell you to give up that path. We are here to clearly show and lay the options out before you, not as a child of God, but as an adult of God, to give you the information so you can make a clear choice. For who? Us? No. For you. For you. And that is the point of the lessons. So consider the possibility. Play with it. Try it on for size. We ask the question, what if the idea of manifestation is not about being positive or having things, but it's actually an equation of how your mind manifests, and that you, yes, you, are in absolute control of what you want to manifest as. And again, not with one decision, very rare. One thought at a time. And one thought leads to another, to another, to another, and faith is gained. Faith in what? Faith in God? We would certainly say yes, but not in the way that you understand it, whether you see it as God or not. You have faith in the voice from within, the place that Jesus pointed to, the non-attachment that the Buddha spoke of. All of them speaking in very similar ways. And it doesn't matter what they said, because now, brothers and sisters, you are taking a direction from here. That is your compass. That is your way home. That is where you worship God, because that is where it meets you. And you can only see God on the same level that you see yourself. And as you raise in frequency for yourself, so will your opinions, thoughts, and feelings about that force. Because that is the sacred mirror. You are God deciding what are you. And we have said time and time again, there is no limitation. But now, we're making it clear why not. And we're laying out the tools before you for you to choose as an adult. And the question becomes, what will you do with them? And our peace to you.